Hey guys, it's Kevin from the Potency Project, and in this video, we're going to talk about how to activate the sympathetic nervous system, and specifically adrenaline, in order to create potency. Adrenaline is activated specifically through emotions. Whether it's a positive emotion or a negative emotion, adrenaline is going to get activated. Maybe it's not adrenaline, maybe cortisol gets activated because maybe the emotion isn't strong enough. The stronger the emotion, the more adrenaline is likely to be activated. The stronger the emotion, like if it's super strong, a ton of adrenaline would become activated. Again, when we talk about adrenaline, we talk about all the different hormones that come with the sympathetic nervous systems, which are cortisol, norepinephrine / noradrenaline, and specifically adrenaline. It's like the most powerful. All of those other hormones, and there's more to even talk about, these other hormones help adrenaline become activated. I mean, there's a lot more that goes on because we've already talked about there's blood flow that goes on. Emotions are the key to adrenaline becoming activated. We'll talk about more and more about that, how emotions are the key to everything, specifically positive emotions. Emotions is everything, and it's all about activating adrenaline, because adrenaline, again, gets activated whether it's a positive or a negative emotion. It's like a double-edged sword. Adrenaline can be bad or it can be good. Either way, it's going to cause an adaptation, because that's what adrenaline does. It causes an adaptation for the future. There's a lot of symptoms of what adrenaline does to your physical body. Anyways, we won't get into that right now. How to activate adrenaline is through emotions. Emotions only come from experiences. You can have experiences physically, and that's going to cause emotions / adrenaline. Go ahead and experience something, whether it's a great sunset, you're having fun with friends, maybe it's something like you get into a fight, maybe it's you see something that causes a little stress. So it could be a positive or negative experience that you physically have. Another way for adrenaline to get activated is mentally. You could just think of something very positive or something awesome. You could just think of hanging out or seeing somebody that you love that you haven't seen in a while. Or you can think of like a funny joke. Or you can think of or imagine that you did something amazing and you could potentially activate adrenaline. You know, that will happen if you're dreaming. So you have a dream and it seems real and it's just in your mind, adrenaline will become active. And it's the same thing negatively. So you could just think of that person you hate at the office, or you can think of the situation that creates the emotion. You can think about jumping out of an airplane. You can think about something negative that's going on in the world. You experiencing that mentally or physically will create the emotion, which will create the activation of adrenaline. The experience creates the emotion. So we want to create potency. And in order to create potency, we have to create peripheral blood flow and then adrenaline. It's said by Wilhelm Reich specifically in one of his books that the orgasm, or the function of the orgasm, or potency, cannot be full and complete unless emotions are involved. And that is specifically because you have to have adrenaline, or the activation of the sympathetic nervous system, for the orgasm to be complete. And when we talk about the orgasm, we talk about life energy and potency. We're not just talking about sexually. We're talking about the zone. We're talking about a lucid dream. It's very important that emotions get created. Now we're going to get into the next stage, how to activate adrenaline. You're going to do it through emotions. But how do we increase the emotions of an event, negative or positive? Mainly, we're going to be talking about positive here. Partly what's going to cause a lot of the negative things in your life, like, negative attention. We'll talk about what that is, but like depression, anxiety, just unhappiness. You're already doing this, but we need to know that you are doing it and how you're doing it so you can stop doing it, and then so you can do it more intentionally to create positive emotions. Special meanings. I like to say special meanings because that's what I connect to more, but you might connect to value. You might connect to the story of something. When you give something special meaning, whether it's a person or a thing or a situation. So if you give a person special meaning, they're going to have more value. And we're going to say that these are synonyms. They're going to have more value to you. They have more of a special meaning to you. And also, the story that you tell yourself or that they have attached to them gives them more of a special meaning or not, or more value. All of those things are just made up in your head, or maybe somebody else made them up and you're believing them. Nobody has essentially special meaning attached to them. Your life story is attached to you, but only mentally. If you think of the essence of it, yes, this is going deep and it's kind of like woo-woo, but people's life stories are meaningless and they're not attached to the people. It only exists in the mind. Your dog or cat has no idea about the story that's connected to you because it's only in people's minds that gets communicated. The dog or cat, the fish, they don't know how special you are because they don't know about your story. Dogs do give people special meaning, but because it's their owner, giving something special meaning will create adrenaline. So the more value you give to something, the more of a story that goes with somebody or a situation, an experience, or just a thing. The more special meaning you give to something, the more it will create adrenaline when you are around it, when you get it, and also if you lose it, which is going to cause all the negative things. We'll talk about that more when we talk about dependence. Creating special meaning and value and stories mentally on purpose will help you experience more adrenaline positively. There's a study that I put in the book, The Potency Project. It's a scientific study, and it says that people that believe in God or a higher power give more value or special meaning to little things that happen in their lives. So it could be a sunset, could be whatever little thing that happens. They associate that with God, like God is in their life. So they give these little tiny things in their life special meaning, and it creates more adrenaline. It creates more value. You know, they give more value to these little things. So create a little thing that maybe doesn't matter at all. Now, mentally to them, creates a positive emotion. It's more of a valuable experience. It has more special meaning. It has a story behind it. When before it didn't, and really it doesn't, and it wouldn't create adrenaline. But since they're putting that meaning onto this thing or this situation or this person, it's creating adrenaline within them. You can do this to anything, but you gotta know that you're doing it now and for the future, because it is gonna cause problems if you lose that special thing. So let's say you give special meaning to a person and then you lose that person. You're gonna feel negative emotions and it's gonna create adrenaline and it's gonna create anxiety, unhappiness, and maybe sadness and all this other stuff. You do have to be careful about creating special meaning because you could lose that thing. You know, it's so special. Maybe it's your favorite thing. You love it. It has so much special meaning to you. Maybe it's a picture. Maybe it's, you know, a special item that somebody gave to you. And all of a sudden then you lose it because you lost it and it has a special meaning. Now it's like a bigger deal than it would be that you lost that thing. So creating special meaning is going to help you activate adrenaline and positive emotions in your life. And also now that you know that, it's going to help you to avoid adrenaline and negative emotions in your life, because now you know that these negative emotions are caused by you giving special meaning to things and you're losing them. And really things don't have special meaning or value. It's only mentally that we do that. Now we're going to talk about Adam and Eve. This is, of course, it's from the Bible. They weren't supposed to eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. They're only supposed to eat from whatever. I don't know the actual story, but I know that they're not supposed to eat of the tree of good and evil. And if they eat of that tree, then they're going to die. If they don't, then they have eternal life. They eat that apple. Now they have knowledge of good and evil, which actually does not exist. And this is the problem. So we ate of that fruit, and now we have the idea that good and evil exists, and now we're gonna die. Because negative emotions causes death. And we'll talk about that more and more. Good and evil is giving special meaning to things. So good and bad, positive and negative. You'll give something special meaning in a negative or a positive way. So you'll think something is more valuable or less valuable because of the story behind it, because of the value you give to it, because of the special meaning you give to it. That special meaning is only in your head, and now you're starting to say things are good and things are bad based on the stories behind them, or the value you're giving to them, or the special meaning you're giving to them. This is going to create adrenaline, positively and negatively. It's fine positively, but if you lose that thing, you're going to feel negative. And if you just feel negative emotions, it's going to destroy your body physically and mentally. Alright guys, so I forgot to put this this in, so let's make sure we don't forget it. Another way to activate adrenaline is to have anticipation. And there's two ways to anticipate things. One is there's an anticipation and then there's an unknown. But then also there's the anticipation that you're expecting or assuming something's gonna happen. And then that thing could happen, but then also something different might happen. Whenever there's an anticipation, whenever there's this cliffhanger, that is going to activate adrenaline. It's the tip of potency. So in potency, we talked about how we want to have a buildup, a buildup, a buildup. At the very top, that's the anticipation of a contraction or an activation of something. Once you're at that high state, that's really when adrenaline is going to get activated. Just think about any movie trailer. You know, it's a thriller, so it's the height of the climax. You know, you're on the edge of your seat. What's going to happen next? And as long as they hold out that anticipation and they don't show you what's going to happen, you have this adrenaline pumping through you. That is one way to activate adrenaline. It's done through music all the time. You know, they have this buildup, this buildup, this buildup, and then at the height of that buildup, that's the adrenaline, and then there is the drop. And then, you know, you feel good, and that's the zone. Create adrenaline in yourself through anticipation. Create it in everything you do to help others feel adrenaline. Create this cliffhanger. There's an unknown, so it could be a little scary. There's this anticipation. It might not be scary, but what's going to happen next, I'm not sure. This anticipation, I'm looking forward to something, then that thing happens, or maybe it's something completely different happens, and of course if it's something different that happens than you expect to happen, then that's a surprise, and that even creates even more adrenaline. That's like the essence of the science of the joke. I don't know if it's science, but it's like, if you're gonna tell a joke, this is just the generality of it, you're gonna say like three things, like two things that make sense and then something that's surprising. This isn't a joke, obviously, but you'd be like monkeys, a banana, and a sports car. Two things that make sense, and then boom, the last thing, like, it's like, what? If you were anticipating something else that was gonna make sense and then it didn't, and then it creates this shock. That was a bad example. So creating anticipation is just one more way to activate adrenaline inside of you or inside of others and to use it in your life. So that's it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Comment and question below, like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.